it's Brijin, the Museum Stitcher, over here on Flosstube and also on Instagram and Ravelry. Thank you all for joining me today for Flosstube number 13. If you are a returning subscriber, thank you guys. I love you so much, and I'm so glad you joined our little community over here on this corner of YouTube. And if you're new here, this is my channel where I talk mostly about cross stitch, but also about the other kind of crafty endeavors that I get up to. Today I've got a little bit of knitting to share, no quilting. Surprisingly, I was gonna say shocking and surprising. Anyway, no quilting today, but I will tell you a little bit about why that didn't happen. And then I've got a book to share with you at the end. I have a lot of stitching today. My stitchy bug has come back full force. It kind of like yeeted out the building for a while, but it's back and it's here and I'm so excited. So I've got some really big finishes. I've got some haul. I've got some planned starts that I need your opinion on. It's going to be a good episode today. The Thanksgiving spectacular, I guess, which is wild to say. But today that I'm filming is actually November 12th. It's a Saturday, and I normally film on Sundays for those of you who are new. But I'm filming on Saturday because tomorrow is actually the premiere of Yellowstone. So Yellowstone season 5 is coming out. I'm very excited. We're having a big watch party, which is why I needed to film a day early. And also, this next week for me is probably my busiest work week of the entire year. So I'm not going to have the energy to edit a video and get it up on a Monday. It's just not going to happen. My Monday is absolutely wild. So, but that's on having a Hall of Fame in your museum. So let's talk cross stitch. So we're going to do finishes first because I haven't actually had a finish in a really long time, and I have two fully finished items. One of them was still a whip in my last video that I have since finished the stitching and fully finished it, and then the other one is actually a cross stitch that I've had finished for about 5 months now, and I've just never fully finished it. So I finally got around to framing a piece that is amazing. So let's start with that one. So actually, let me make sure I have it right side up. Okay. This piece is Quaker Pumpkins by Hello from Liz Mathews. If you've not heard of this cross stitch before, let me tell you about it because it's probably my favorite finish I've ever finished, ever. And my favorite stitch I've ever worked on. It's amazing. And I finally got around to fully finishing mine. There will be a ring light glare because I did put museum glass on this. Freaking look! Okay, there we go. We don't have glare there. I have it angled kind of down. It's done! So this one I started this one on September 3rd of 2021, and I finished the stitching on May 30th of 2022. And then from May until now, it sat in the back of my closet needing to be finished. I had to actually get a custom frame made for this one, so I used customframesolutions.com. They were having a 45% off sale, and because this is such a weird size, I definitely went the custom frame route. I had them cut a piece of museum glass, and I did the actual lacing of it myself. So I need to put some paper on the back to cover the lacing, and then actually like mark what the piece is, how long I stitched it, what the materials are. This one is actually stitched on a 28 count Faun Lugana by Picture This Plus with all of the called for week Styworks flosses. This was actually only my 4th cross stitch start ever. So I had never worked on an even weave before. I'd never worked on anything other than Ada, which is why it's on a 28 count, but it's absolutely massive. It's about 23 inches across just the stitching. And it's huge. It's massive, but I'm actually kind of okay with that. I mean, if I was stitching this now, I would definitely have done this on a 36 or a 40, but I'm happy to have the piece finished this large because I love it so much. It's my favorite thing I've ever worked on, ever stitched. I love it. I'm in love with it. I will never stop looking at it, but I'm just so happy to be able to show it to you guys as an FFO. I'm so sorry about the ring light glare. I just needed this one protected. So I have this one done just in enough time to put it out for 2 weeks until Thanksgiving is over and the fall season is officially done, and then it will go back in storage, which is why I wanted glass on it, because this is an heirloom piece. Now, I had a hell of a time trying to get these borders straight as I was lacing, so it's not perfect, obviously. I mean, this corner pulls in a little bit, this one pulls in a little bit too. But you know what? It's good enough. And the amount that I saved by framing it myself with a custom frame I bought online is a lot. It's enough to kit up like 5 projects. So it's fine. It's totally fine. But it's done. So I'm super happy to share that with you guys. I'm going to go stick it on my fireplace just for the last few weeks of the season. And then I will actually install like some hangers on the back and everything. But I'm a lacer. It's really cool. It's so cool. Freaking love it. Freaking love it. Oh, every time I look at it, it just gets better. Okay, but it's not the only piece I fully finished. I fully finished, where is it? There it is. My Autumn Alphabet by Willow Hill Samplings. So I actually shared this on my Instagram, but I hadn't actually put it in the frame in my Instagram. I just laid the frame over top of it and took a picture. And then the reception was, oh my gosh, that frame is amazing. So I decided to fully finish it in the frame. I was actually planning on making this into a pillow until the feedback on that post was incredible and amazing. So I figured I'd better listen to you guys since you loved it so much. And I fully finished it into the frame. All done. So this one is stitched on a 40 count Murky linen by Picture This Plus with Mostly Called For. I did swap out the 2 bottom pumpkin colors to be some Colour Cotton Teals from their teal gradient set. Just because I wanted it to be a bit of a bluer pumpkin. I was totally inspired to stitch this after I saw it on Laurel of Mountain Laurel Stitches channel. And so I picked it up right after she got it, and she was doing a blue conversion on her pumpkins, and I was like, that's genius. The called for are very green. So yeah. And then I just backstitched my initials here and the year here. So it's really nondescript, but it's still, I need to get better about that. Like I didn't put my initials in on Quaker pumpkins or the year I finished it. I probably should have done that too. But this is just a 5x7 picture frame that I had lying around, and I thought it would look cool for the picture, and then it ended up working as the fully finished for this one too. I don't know if I could get away with hanging this one up all year round. Like it's definitely spooky, but I don't know that it's Halloween enough that I have to put it away. I don't know, but anyway, I started stitching this one on August 24th of 2022, and I finished it on October 31st. It was a Halloween day finish, just like I set myself a goal for in my last video, so that's exciting. Very much a big fan of that. It's a very quick stitch. I started this as one of my 4 starts for my friend Alexis at Alexis_myamazingworlds 34th birthday. She asked everyone to start 4 new things to celebrate with her, and so this was one of the 4 that I picked. So I'm super happy to have that done. This makes my second of those 4 birthday starts a finish, and I got some good progress in on a 3rd one. So very exciting. Finish there. This one's also laced in the back. I'm just not gonna pop it out of the frame to show you guys. Okay, so that's all of my finished objects. I didn't finish anything else. But let's do Brijin's quilt corner. So the quilt behind me today is a Bargello or Around the World quilt that my grandmother actually finished, my late grandmother. She was a huge quilter, and this is the one that she made for me. So it's made out of some really gorgeous purple and green fabrics, and it makes me happy every time I look at it. And it screams fall, so that's why I pulled it out again. Also, I only have so many finished quilts. I've only been quilting for like 2 years, so you're gonna get what you're gonna get. I'll start pulling out some more soon as I get to finishing them and getting them back from the quilter and things. So yes, okay, so let's talk whips. I did 3 whips this week, which is more whips than I've worked on in a while in a 2-week period. So let's start with my first one over here. Okay, first one that I caught up to and then fell behind again with is actually the Dark Queen of the Earth by Autumn Lane Stitchery. I almost said C. 2 different things. So Dark Queen of the Earth by Autumn Lane Stitchery. This is a stitch along that started in September, and it's coming out, parts are coming out monthly. And so I was on track, and then I fell behind. I didn't stitch October's piece in October, so I decided to pull this out and see if I could finish up October and November before December's piece comes out. We will see. But I actually started mine, when did I start mine? I started mine on September 4th of 2022, and I finished part 2 of the stitch along on November 6th. So here's where I'm at. So I'm stitching mine on a 32 count old gold linen by Picture This Plus. It's very, very brown gold. It's very intense. It's showing up pretty true to camera. It just washes me out massively whenever I pull this one onto the frame. So that's the fabric. But as far as what I stitched, you can see here, I finished part 2 was all of this on the skirt. And there is some back stitching as well, but I decided to hold off on the back stitching until all the back stitching is released, just because I didn't want to have to like put my frame on top of that or anything. And this hoop is actually a new hoop as well. As you guys know, I rave about my Morgan hoops. I prefer usually stitching with the 7-inch Morgan hoop. I really like it, but I was placing an order on 123 Stitch this month, and I decided to just throw in a larger one to just see if I could get like a really tight tension on my fabric if I used a bigger size. And so I went ahead and grabbed the 10-inch Morgan hoop, so it fits more, whole lot more of the stitching in it. It is quite a bit thicker. I don't think I have my 7-inch hoop. Oh, I do. Okay, so here's my 7-inch Morgan hoop. This is the one I've raved about since I started my channel. It's super lightweight, it fits in a lot of small bags, and I just move my hoop around as I stitch. But sometimes when you're stitching on a full fat quarter of fabric, using this, you have a lot of extra around where you're stitching to wrangle, which I don't always love because there's not a good way to clip it like you can, like with the little rubber peels that you can do on a Q-snap. So you can see it is quite a bit bigger and quite a bit thicker. So it is heavier, but I wouldn't say it's any heavier than a Q-snap is. And it comes in a few less pieces, and I can get it drum tight. So I'm a big fan of this. I'm definitely glad I picked up the bigger size. Actually, my friend Megan, the Seattle Stitcher, was talking in her most recent video about how she wasn't sure if the bigger sizes of the Morgan hoops would keep tension, and Megan, they do. So pretty funny that you just brought that up. But yeah, so I don't know about bigger than 10 inches, but 10 inches is a big hoop to keep tension in, and this one is freaking drum. I'm a big fan. Super happy with this purchase. And it fits in my Mad for Plaid project bag that I have this one in, which is really nice because I can't fit a Q-snap in here. It won't shut. So anyway, part 2 is finished. I need to start working on part 3. I will have popped a picture up of the included part 3 so you could see that. But it's coming down and working on kind of the bottom of her dress. It's a lot of stitching, so I'm still not sure if I'm going to be able to get that done this month or not, but we're going to try and get caught up on her, so all called for DMC. And then this one I'm actually stitching with a floss keeper that I made myself. I actually modified my friend Carrie of Tiger Lily Designs, her pattern for her project keepers. I modified mine to have bobbin pockets on both sides, and I took away the center stuff so I didn't have to do side binding on the 2 pocket sides. It's just one strip of vinyl, and it fits all of my DMCs on Adam Hart floss drop bobbins. If you have not heard of these, I talk about these floss bobbins all the freaking time. They look like this, so you can wind your floss like a bobbin and store it like a bobbin, but when you unwind it, they're actually floss drops that you can stitch off like a floss drop, which is very nice because I'm a floss drops person. I don't like bobbinating. It's not for me. It just stresses me out that I have nothing to do with I have nowhere to put my little like extra bits and bobs, and I like to use all of the DMC I can. I'm pretty frugal with my use of my DMC. So anyway, love this because it gives me the best of both worlds option, especially with a stitch along like this that's going to be an entire year's worth of stitching, possibly more if I fall behind. It's just really nice to have all of my threads organized and not on a floss ring where they're knotting or tangling. That's probably the biggest downside to stitching with a floss ring in my opinion. But anyway, that is whip 1 of 3, Dark Queen of the Earth. I worked on this for about 4 days in the last week and I got caught up. So not too bad because it is all chunks of stitching. I was able to just kind of do half stitches and map around and then just fill in without my pattern, and that made it go pretty quickly. And I used the color completing method. So I finished like all of this symbol in the whole section and then moved on to the next one. And it made me count a little bit more, but I also think it was kind of nice to not have to pull out 8 colors at once. So anyway, that one is my first whip of the week. I feel like I sound like Pam and stuff when I say that. The next one I pulled out is actually another one of my 4 for 34 birthday starts. And this one is Silver Creek Samplers Olivia Ochreleiph. I started this one on August 22nd of 2021, just 2 days before I started my autumn alphabet that I fully finished. And I've only worked on this piece for 5 days in total since I started it that day. And I'm doing really good. So I will pop a picture of what it looked like the last time I worked on this because I do have progress pictures on this one, which is very exciting. I don't normally have progress pictures. I'm getting better. I'm working on it. So here's what it looked like last time. And since then I've worked on this for a total of 3 days. And here's where I got to. So I'm stitching mine with all of the called for weeks dye works on a 32 count vellum linen by Picture This Plus. And since I've shown this to you, I finished out all of the words. So the entire quote is done. I think I had head finished. And so I finished out the rest of the quote. And then I mapped out most of the bottom border and I've been working on filling in the leaves here. And the only thing I have left to do on this piece is the woman. So she's right here. She's got a lot of color changes, which is why I focused on doing the words first. But very exciting news, she fits entirely in a Q-snap. And I love a good project where I don't have to move my Q-snap. Very nice. I ended up taking this to work and working on it during my lunch break because 32 count's really easy to see without my like fancy lights and stuff that I have at home. Yeah, I love this one. My needle minder is an Outlander inspired needle minder by Mad for Minders, and this grime guard is one that I made myself out of some old quilting fabrics. And it's looking great. I'm loving it. I need to pull for a finish on this one. I'd love to have this completed before the end of the year. That is why I focused so much on this one. Just because I'd like to have it done this fall season so I don't have to keep waiting on it. But with all the color changes that are in her dress, I'm not sure that's going to happen. We can try though. I'm gonna try. I have 2 other projects that I'd like to focus on through the end of the year or through the end of this month, and then I will reevaluate, but I'll tell you more about that in my plans section. But lots of good progress in on this one that was going pretty quickly, but stitching words usually is pretty fast, so that was probably the quickest part of this whole thing. Yeah. I love it. I love it so much. Anyway, here's my flosses on floss drops. I pre-cut all of my weeks dye works and put them on thread hearts from Adam Hart Cross Stitch. These are an special edition color she released last year that were very fall inspired. Like, look how sparkly and fun they are. So anyway, I have these on my fall floss drops. I'd also love to get this done so I could free these floss drops up again for more projects, because sometimes when you put your special edition floss drops in projects that take you forever, it's very sad. So hopefully I can free those up a little bit more. I have one more whip that I worked on in the last few weeks, and it is my Autumn Cloche by Hello from Liz Mathews. This pattern is amazing. I love it so much. I am actually doing mine with a Leo and Roxy floss conversion. This conversion is available on the Evertotes website with the pattern corrected version, so it will include all of the right colors. I made a small substitution to my set of colors. I am swapping out in the Leo and Roxy conversion, they call for the color Gomez, and I've actually swapped that for Obsidian, which is it's closer to DMC 844. It was actually in the uncorrected version of all of the flosses, but for me it had a little bit more contrast with the main black, which is Obsidian, and so it worked a little bit better in the pattern for me. So that's the one change I've made there, but if you're interested in the conversion, I will link it down below. Leo and Roxy flosses are one of my favorite overdyed cottons to work with. This pattern called for NPIs and DMCs, and I don't really want to spend the money on an NPI silk when it's not variegated. So yeah, but anyway, here is where I was the last time I was working on this. I started this on September 8th of 2022, so I haven't been working on it very long. I started this with my friend Megan, the Seattle Stitcher, and Alexis of Alexis_My_Amazing_World. We started this one together, and I would like to be halfway through this piece before the end of this fall. So by the end of the month, I'd like to be further along on this, but here's where I got to. So the fabric I am using is a 40 count Hazelwood by Fiber on a Whim. It's lovely, kind of gray, brown, green. It's very hard to describe, and it's washing me out like crazy. But it's a very cool fabric. So since I've seen you last, I decided to finish out the cloche border. It's a hard one to hold up because it's so wide. But I finished out the cloche border here, and I started it on the bottom just so I could kind of gauge where the bottom of the pattern was going to be, and then I cut off all of my extra fabric. So doing pretty good margins wise, and then I went in and added the outline of this butterfly. So it doesn't look like I did a lot, and I've only worked on this for one day in the last 2 weeks, so it really hasn't been a lot of stitching. But sometimes filling in like long lines of border just takes forever, and this border right here is 2 stitches thick. Oh my gosh, is 2 stitches thick. This one's 1 stitch, and so it was a lot of just one line of border. But I'm going to try and get in and work the other side of the cloche and then connect the bottom borders and then kind of go from there. So we'll see where I can get to on this one in the coming few weeks. My needle minder is from Top Knot Stitcher Shop. And actually the nice thing about this pattern is it is pretty big. It's like 180 something by 280 something, but it's actually on a 40 count, not so tall that the entire cloche from top to bottom fits in a Q-snap. Side to side it doesn't, but top to bottom it does. So I can basically start here, fill in the entire cloche, and only have to move my Q-snap one time. So, I mean, that is if I didn't take it out. I take my projects out of my Q-snap every day just to make sure that I'm not squishing my stitches and everything looks good. But yeah, got a little bit on this one, and it's going to be my focus piece for the rest of the weekend because it's so cool. It really is. And the fabric is the most unique gray, brown, green situation. I love it. Love it, love it, love it. Okay, so that is it for things that I worked on, but I did have some cross-stitch haul and some plans that I need your help deciding things on. So if you're interested in that, stick around. And then I've got 2 knitting projects to share with you, some progress on, and then a book, and that's it, because I didn't get around to quilting today. So as far as haul goes, I went on 123 Stitch and I kitted up a project. Barbara Anna released Dancer, and so I went to Creative Poppies and I actually bought the PDF of this pattern. I've been eyeing it for a while, and I know it originally came out in a magazine, but I forgot to write down what magazine it was, and so I really wanted to kit this one up for this winter season. I think it's so cute, and I'm normally not drawn to Barbara Anna designs. I think they're really pretty. They're just normally a little more cutesy than I like to stitch. I tend to stitch more abstracted things, not a whole lot of things with faces. So anyway, I ran over to 123 Stitch and I grabbed the called for fabric, which actually, to finish out this piece on a 32 count, you need the smallest cut possible, which is only $4. So I grabbed this, which is a gray Basil Splash Lugana, and it's only a 9 by 13 cut, but it'll be plenty with plenty of margin for this piece. And then I grabbed the called for DMCs. So I'm fairly sure I have some of these in my master set of DMC that I'm working on building. So I will go through and pull some lengths from my master set before I cut into any of these full skeins. But to make the shipping worth it, I went ahead and grabbed those. And if they're extra, I will put them in my extra full skeins box and then write them down in my spreadsheet, because I have a wild set of like 4 spreadsheets for my DMC to track what's in my master set, what projects I have lengths of certain colors in, and it's a big whole hot mess. So anyway, I kitted that up. I got another pattern actually before my last video, but I forgot to mention it. I grabbed the Beatrix Potter sampler from Stitchy Box. This actually was totally enabled by Julie of Kansas City Girl in a Colorado World and Melissa of the Starlastitcher on Instagram. I love both of them. They have amazing projects and they're just incredible stitchers, and they are actually going to be selling this piece together. And so I was like, well, you know what? I need a monochromatic piece. I'm going to kit it up and start it. So I grabbed that pattern and I was digging through my stash to see what I wanted to do color-wise for this piece. And I had an idea. So my idea was actually to take my teal gradient set from Colour Cotton, which I will show you right now. But Colour Cotton does a few things where they pick a color and they do like 5 different versions of that color in various levels of softness. And they sold them as a set. And I was like, what if I divided out the Quaker motifs diagonally into each of these 5 colors so that my pattern kind of gradiated down into this dark teal from a light teal. And I have some 40 count flax or 40 count platinum in my stash fabric wise to just like have a nice basic kind of neutral to go behind it. But I would need to get my hands on another one of these sets, and they're currently out of stock on Colour Cotton's website. So I'm signed up for restock notifications, but if I can get another set of these, I think this is going to be my plan. If I cannot get another set of these, I'm going to have to pivot to something else, because you're going to need a lot of skeins of this to do the pattern, because it's a big boy. It's like 300 stitches square or something like that, or close to that. So I don't think I'd be able to get by with 1 skein of each color, even though it is called for on a 32 count. So obviously my floss requirements would be a little bit less than the original pattern. But the original pattern also only calls for 1 strand on 32, which normally you do 2 strands on 32. So I don't know. It makes me a little nervous to commit to doing it on this, only having 1 skein of each color. So if I can get my hands on the other set, I will do that. And that will be my plans for this piece. If not, I don't know what I'm going to do. So anyway, that's plan there. And while we're on the Colour Cotton train, I will show you my thread of the month and fabric of the month. So if you're not interested in seeing that, this is for November. I got 3 skeins of the Classic Collection in Merlot. Kind of matches my lipstick. Pine Tree and Tusk. So gorgeous combination there for Christmas. Absolutely love it. These are part of their permanent collection. So I get 3 skeins from their permanent collection to kind of beef up my permanent collection of Colour Cotton. And then I get 3 of their primitive neutrals, which are special edition colors. And that is Tree Lot. And then Drummer's Drumming, which is a really unique golden brown with kind of a green undertone. And then Woolen Mittens, which is kind of a gorgeous prim red. That's how I would describe that. So those were my Colour Cotton thread of the months. And then I also got the fabric of the month. I get 36 count. I was lucky enough to get into this club last month. So I'm super excited. And this is a 36 count quarter yard of Exemplaire, which is, it's pulling a bit more neutral. It's much more reddish brown. I would describe it as like a reddish gingerbread. Over here is kind of closer to what it is in real life. It's neutraling it out. If I kind of hunch it in on itself, you can see more of that pinkish gingerbread undertone, depending on how I hold it. It's not a good one for the camera, but it's a really cool fabric, and I actually have an idea for this that I will tell you about here in just a second. And I think that is it for my cross stitch haul. Just my monthly clubs and that dancer pattern. So that is it for haul. So let me tell you about plans. So actually, you know what, real quick, I need to shout out my friend Megan, the Seattle Stitcher, because she sent me an amazing care package after we had a conversation about a pattern. And she's just incredible. So Megan and I were talking about Practical Magic by The Primitive Hare, which we both grabbed from Expo this year. And I didn't have time to start it before the end of the spooky season this year. But I was telling Megan that I needed to kind of find a fabric in my stash to make it work. And she goes, oh no, you need the called for because it's a primitive hair linen and it's really unique and it's really cool and you need it. And I was like, okay, I'll let you know if I can't find it and I'll take your extra pack and pay you back for it if I can't find it. And she goes, no problem. Well, this amazing person just popped it in the mail anyway, which I totally understand why, because the fabric is amazing. It's right here and it's so unique. I definitely think if you're going to do this, do it on the called for. But then she also sent this project bag that she made. So now we're project bag twins. And so I put my primitive hair piece in here with a few of the fancy flosses that I had in my stash and then the pin set that I got for finishing. So it's all kitted up and ready to go in here when I'm ready to start this piece. So thank you, Megan. She also sent some stickers, which I don't have. I put them in my sticker drawer. And she sent the most amazing skein of yarn. Megan has this amazing ability to understand the exact colors I love in yarn. She sent me this amazing blue that I'll show you here in a minute because it's in a project. And this one is the most gorgeous gray-green with these gorgeous gold flecks. It is called Matcha by Madeline Tosh. It is a 100% superwash merino, but it's like a twisted merino. So it's got this really cool texture. And this color is everything. Like, I need to get about 8 more balls and actually make a sweater out of this because I am obsessed with this color. This, Megan, you know my taste so well. I can't believe we've never met in person. So thank you for that amazing care package. It came on a day that I had a massive migraine all day and I was feeling like absolute dog turds. And then I got home and there was a package from Megan and it was amazing. So thank you, Megan. I love you. Okay, so plans. It relates to Megan, I promise. So Megan and Alexis and I, in our group chat, we were talking one morning and Alexis was like, oh my gosh, we need to stitch something Christmas together. And I was like, genius. Let me tell you about the Christmas patterns that I've had in mind to start this year. And if you like any of them, we can pick one of those or we can do something else. Totally doesn't matter. I'm down for whatever. Well, one of the pieces that I wanted to start this year that I've had kind of half kitted for a while now is Christmas Garden by Blackbird Designs, and Alexis was like, oh, I love that piece, but it's out of print, so we can't do that one. And I was like, what do you mean? What do you mean it's out of print? I was like, I have it. I just bought it. And she goes, like, apparently Alexis has been searching for this pattern for 7 years, didn't know it was reprinted in a book from Blackbird Designs, and so Megan loved it. Alexis obviously has been wanting it for a while, and so I sent them both the link to go check out the new book. It's called Home for the Holidays. I will put a picture of it right here, but it has a whole bunch of patterns that are really, really pretty. And the book itself is like $23 from 123 Stitch, and the out-of-print patterns are being sold on eBay for like $50 for the one pattern. So if you were looking at Christmas Garden, I'm happy to report that it is no longer out of print. Go buy it here. So we're going to be doing Christmas Garden. We are aiming for a Black Friday start. I actually have Black Friday off of work, so that will be super nice to sit down and start a new stitch there. So that being said, I'm doing a conversion on my Christmas Garden because I think the called for colors are pretty, but with the amount of floss that you need, I'm not personally drawn to, I like Gentle Arts flosses and I like Classic Colorworks, but they're not my favorite overdyed cottons to work with. I prefer one where you can get more off of one skein. Like Leo and Roxy, Colour Cotton, and Forbidden Fiber Company are my top favorite overdyed cottons. They just don't knot as much for me. I like the colors and I like supporting kind of the smaller companies. So anyway, those are the ones that I will tend to gravitate towards if I can. Obviously with my Leo and Roxy Autumn Cloche. There's a lot of autumn things, okay? So anyway, those are the colors that I would like to reach for. So since this one only has 4 colors, a gold, a green, a red, and a brown, I decided to do my own conversion to Colour Cotton flosses for this one. So here's what I settled on. So I settled on Ivy for my green, which is part of their classic collection. I got Winterberry for my red, this is a special edition, but it is currently available on Colour Cotton's website. So if you wanted to get your hands on it, you could. But if you were looking for something different that is part of their current collection that you can get like off of 123 Stitch, Carmine, it's a little bit brighter, but it's in the same vein, and I think it still looks really pretty. So special edition Winterberry, special edition Pecan Pie, also still available on their website right now. And then the gold is where I stumbled. That was probably the hardest one. So let me show you what I came up with. So I was looking through my stash to do this conversion to see what I already had and what I needed. So what I came up with out of my stash was Golden Ale. It's a permanent collection color, and it goes fine, but it's very yellow. And I didn't necessarily want it, I wanted my conversion to be brighter than the called for, but not necessarily this bright. So I grabbed a few more skeins of this just in case, but I also found Maize, which is a special edition color, still available on their website. It's a much more subdued when you put it right next to Golden Ale, sorry. You can see the difference. It's much more muted and a little bit more brown. So I threw that in there and I was like, here's my conversion. So if you're interested in this conversion, this one exists. It is available now. And then the fabric that I had in my stash for this one is actually a Dusty Road by Seraphim. It's a 36 count linen, which is really pretty and very neutral. And so here's the floss toss. I think it looks great. I love it. I think it's a very pretty conversion. It works great. So if you're interested in that, that's an option. But then I had this unhinged thought and I can't get it out of my head, so we're here. So then I thought, okay, I haven't been happy with the gold, so what if I took it out? What if I replaced the gold with a white tusk that I just actually got in my thread thing? Still Christmas. And the white's mainly doing like stars and accents in the pattern. It's not like there's nothing in there that needs to be gold if I was doing it that way. And I was like, what if I put it on a gray fabric? Just like really out of the box. So I pulled out Gray Magic, which is a Bestitch Me fabric. What do we think? I kind of like it. I don't know. So let me know your thoughts on this. But then I was like, what if I took away the gray fabric? And I went back to the brown, but not Dusty Road, where it's a very light, kind of a sampler color. What if I did something dark? And I was like, I have this piece of fabric that I just got from Colour Cotton that looks like gingerbread, which is very Christmassy. So what if I took this and did the white conversion on there? So I think this is what's winning in my mind right now. I'll actually pop a picture of it in, since this fabric is so hard to read on camera. You can't really get a sense of what it's going to look like with the floss tosses. So actually, let's leave me a snowflake comment if you like the gray fabric, or the snowflake. No. Tell me if you like the gray fabric, the original fabric, which is this kind of lighter color, or if you like the gingerbread fabric. So let me know in your comment down below which one you like for my conversion. I'm taking notes. I'm open to suggestions. And let me know if you like the gold floss or the white floss better. Right now I'm kind of leaning toward the white. I think it's a little bit more me, a little bit more modern, matches more of my kind of Christmas aesthetic, but we'll see. So that is Tusk, Ivy, Winterberry, and Pecan Pie. That is my conversion right now. And then also Maize, if you're not looking to do the white, if you're looking to do the gold. Or Carmine, if you're looking to sub out the red for something a little bit brighter. So anyway, that's like 15 minutes on my Colour Cotton conversion for Christmas Garden, but that's where I'm at. So let me know your opinion down below. I would love to hear it. So knitting, let's talk knitting. I worked some on my Slipstravaganza shawl by West Knits. I am actually doing this one with some other yarn I got from Megan. She sent me this gorgeous blue, and so I decided to make it the main color of my shawl. And here's what it's looking like. So since you've seen it last, I had finished section 2 and I started So I've gotten in the first repeat in these diamonds on section 3. And then I've started in on the orange stripe there too. So not a lot, but this shawl massively increased from 200 stitches on each row to 400 stitches on each row. So it's taking me twice as long to get a row repeat done on this. So here's where I'm at on this one very quickly. Looking really cool though. Love the blue. And this one is in a project bag that I made myself. And then I worked some more on my West Knits MCAL 2022. MCAL stands for Mystery Knit Along if you are not familiar. And for another week, I am showing you still on section 1. This stitch along, Mystery Stitch Along, has ended a long time ago. And I'm still on section 1 because it's a lot of knitting. So here's where I'm at. It looks the same, just bigger. So this Project Keeper mark is where I was the last time I showed it to you guys. So I finished 3 more contrast color stripes. I need a total of 14, and this is number 11. So I only have 3 more to go after this. The finished shawl actually is out now, so I'll pop a picture of what that's going to look like. It's very cool. The yarns I'm working on for this one are actually Fangirl Fibers yarns inspired by the series A Court of Thorns and Roses. So this dark blue purple is called High Lord, and this light blue is called the Surreal. I actually got a tote bag with the Surreal logo on it in the thing, and I turned it into this drawstring bag myself. And then the final color is actually going to be called Prithian, and it is this gorgeous chartreuse, which is going to look lovely in the finished shawl. It looks a lot like Steven's model that he stitched in his videos. It's kind of similar colorings to that. So this is what it's going to look like when it's all done. But it's looking great. It's a lot of knitting in this first section. It's a lot of knitting the whole shawl, but this first section is really kicking my ass. But hopefully that section 1 will be a finish the next time I show it to you. With having Yellowstone tomorrow and with it being a crazy week at work, I'm fairly sure I'm going to end up doing more knitting than stitching. So hopefully I'll have some good knitting progress to share. Okay, so that is it crafting wise. I did not work on my Socialites quilt. I just have not had time in my quilting room to work on that. And so I am 3 blocks behind now. I will be catching up actually probably after I finish filming this video. We will see. I don't know when it's going to get done, but it will get done. The good news is this quilt along does have some breaks for like Thanksgiving and Christmas and just some like off bye weeks kind of built in. So even though I'm behind, I know I can catch up quickly. It's only 3 blocks and they're not too crazy difficult. There is one that has like it's like a flying geese unit, but it actually has like an additional flying geese on the other side. I'll pop a picture of it up here. But I think I'm going to attempt to draw my own foundation paper for that to kind of make it a little bit easier on myself and see, because I'm bad at corner squares. So anyway, that is my quilting update. I will hopefully have some more blocks to show you guys next time. Actually, projected wise, I should have 6 blocks to show you next time. So that's quilting. So books wise, I read 1 book in the last 2 weeks. It's been a busy one, so I haven't had that much to read. But I finished a book called Under Lock and Skeleton Key by Gigi Pondian, and it was very good. This is actually a kind of a cozy mystery is probably the way I would describe it. It's very cheesy, very Scooby-Doo, but it's very fun. So it follows this girl Tempest. She is a magician and she has had a massive career setback, and so she has to go back to her childhood home. Her dad actually designs like secret staircases and houses. Like he does all kinds of like magical builds. And then there's a murder. And so she has to kind of figure out a family curse and her mother's disappearance in with this murder of someone she knows. And so it's this whole kind of whodunit situation with also a little bit of family magic. I will say the reveal at the end kind of sucks. You don't necessarily like the whole reason behind what happened and why it happened. But the whole book is a really fun time. She's got a pet rabbit named Abracadabra, and she's a magician. If that doesn't tell you the vibe of the book, I don't know what does. It's a very short one. It's only like a 10-hour audiobook. I read all of my audiobooks at like 1.75, 2 times speed. So it only took me like 5 hours. It was like a 1 work day kind of a situation. But it was a fun read. I'm really glad I read it. I really enjoyed it. I gave it like a 4 stars on Goodreads, and I would recommend it to you if you're looking for something kind of Scooby-Doo, lightweight, and easy in this next couple of weeks as we lead up to Thanksgiving. So I won't see you guys until after the Thanksgiving break. Again, work's gonna be crazy, life's gonna be crazy. It's getting cold here in Texas. It's not my favorite. So, I mean cold, I mean like 50 degrees. It's freezing for us, okay? It's freezing for us. So I will see you guys in my next one. If you've made it this far into my video, as always, you know I like to do something. So go ahead and leave me a sparkle emoji. I will put one right here so you know what it looks like. But leave me a sparkle emoji if you made it this far in the video. But if I was going to say if I don't see you guys, but I know I won't see you guys. So have a happy Thanksgiving, however you celebrate. Enjoy some time with your family or your friends or whatever you need to do to get through the start of the holiday season, and happy end of fall. I will see you guys after Thanksgiving. So have a great one. Bye.